Hello and welcome. So today we're going to be focusing on AI. It's one of the things that SpnLabs LLC specializes in. And we're going to talk about some of the do's and don'ts and take away some of the hype that's been building up around AI and kind of guide you through that and explain how we can help with staff training and stuff like that, just to make sure that everyone's on the right track. So AI for small businesses. What is it? What is it good for? Where it should not be trusted alone, and how SpnLabs LLC helps businesses build practical AI and custom software solutions. So we're going to go for a 30-minute talk, and mostly going to talk about practical, no hype approach to AI. It's presented by me, Spencer Lockhart, from SpnLabs LLC. So who is SpnLabs LLC? SpnLabs helps small businesses use AI and software in a practical way. So we provide consulting, training, custom software, and full-service tooling for businesses whose workflows are too specific for one-size-fits-all solutions, which is pretty much all of them, let's be honest. So what we do. Custom software for specialized workflows. This includes software with or without AI, but today we're just talking about AI. AI consultation and implementation guidance, team training and verification first best practices, integrated tooling built around real operations, and I'm going to get into some examples of that. Only a few, but I wish I had time for more. So what makes us different? SpnLabs doesn't force your business into generic software. So we're not going to take something that we're giving to thousands of people and expect it to just bolt right into your business. That's not what we specialize in. But if we think that's the right move for you, if it's the most cost-effective way and you're not going to benefit from custom software, then, we will recommend that. But generally, we're going to try to treat each case individually and, solve those edge cases for you. So we'll solve edge cases where standard tools break down, and we combine AI, software, process design, and training where applicable. The bottom line, the goal is not to use AI everywhere. The goal is to use the right mix of software, AI, and human judgment to reduce friction in your business. What is AI? Traditional software follows explicit rules. 2 plus 2 is always going to be 4. AI generates likely outputs based on patterns. So if you tell AI to say 2 plus 2 is 5, AI is going to be happy to tell you 2 plus 2 is 5. Now, sometimes the training is going to be more fitted, so that might be a bad example. But what I mean is AI is not a calculator. What it's going to try to do is give you the answer it thinks is what you expect. So it's going to give you the answer it thinks fits most into the conversation. Whatever AIs, there's chat and then there's image generation. They're a little different, so it's not always a conversation. But it's going to give you what it thinks fits next, right? So traditional computing, you got known inputs, known rules. You're going to get the same exact output every single time. Assuming everything else is the same. You enter in the same calculation into a graphing calculator. You're going to get the same graph output every time, right? This is deterministic. We can work with this. Yeah, same input, same results. It's best for math, logic, accounting, compliance, formulas, and basically, anything that we've used software for before. AI is fairly new. So there's, if you can think about it, operating systems, browsers, websites, all that stuff is deterministic. Whether it has dynamic data or not. So, yeah, artificial intelligence. What's that? So artificial intelligence is kind of interesting. You can't talk to your calculator and say, make a parabola of this or that. It's not going to it just doesn't understand you talking to it. You got to enter it in, and you have to be precise. With AI, well, you probably know you can just talk to it. You can say, "Hey AI, what's the function I need to do this task?" And AI can give you a function that might work for that task. In fact, nowadays, most of the time it will, but you still got to be careful. So AI is probabilistic. The outputs may be strong, weak, or wrong. It really depends. It's best for language. It's really good for translating, right? Good for summarization. So, like, let's say you had a long conversation, you can use AI to turn that audio into a transcript. And then you could feed that transcript into another AI that's going to summarize that conversation for you. And we can build a tool for you that does both of those things all together. So, if you go talk to a client and you say, "Hey, do you mind if I record this so I can provide better service?" We can take that input from that conversation and, use AI to turn it into a summary. Basically, we can do everything. We can take the audio, convert that to a transcript, and we can convert the transcript to a summary. And you could do that all with the click of a button. We can build you software that does that. So an example could be drafting a response for customer or turning notes into a first pass estimate. So yeah, like we were saying. So the key idea here, AI is not a better calculator. It's a different tool altogether. We're going to show you how to use it. AI versus a calculator, right? Can AI replace classical computing? Yeah, the short answer, no. Long answer, sometimes it seems like it can. So my recommendation, teach AI to use the right tool for the job. And that's very, very, very powerful. So if you tell AI, if we build you software that has AI connected to classical systems, you can get accurate results pretty much every time. As long as the AI knows, with good prompting, you can kind of encourage the AI. You can even force the AI to use a given tool. Most of the time you don't want to force AI to use a tool, but sometimes you do. So what I like to do is I provide a number of tools for the AI, and the AI will actually choose the right tool for the job. And that's what we specialize in, right? So calculator, classical software in the first box over here. We got precise formulas, right? So, 1 plus 1, n plus n, So we can have a program that calculates n plus n. AI is going to be able to do that just fine, but, assume it's more complicated, right? And then we can feed that into AI, and AI can choose that tool, right? It's going to be like, oh, this is an equation that matches, this format. So I'm going to use this calculation software that I have access to, and the AI is going to go through the conversation, and it's going to pick out the parts that it needs to put into that tool that we give it for running the software. And that classical software is going to give it an output, right? And that's going to be like a number or whatever. In this case, it could be almost anything, to be honest. And then the AI is going to take that, and it's going to understand this is the answer to the original question, and it's going to write some kind of summary or something. It depends how we design it. It doesn't always have to write a summary. But if that's what we're building the tool for, it'll be able to use a tool and then generate a summary and basically tell you in plain English what is the answer, why it's the answer, and how it got to that answer. Yeah. So what this is going to do is it's going to interpret the messy input, right? That's your prompt, your text. It could be you talking to your phone. It's going to draft and predict, right? So it's going to try to figure out what you want first, and at the end of the day, it's going to speed up the workflow because it's going to figure this out. And if it doesn't, you just tell it. You just say try again. But we're pretty good at doing this nowadays, so we'll get you all set up. AI workflow. The human asks a question, AI chooses classical tool, and the system calculates, and AI explains the final answer. So what we're trying to propose is use AI to accelerate the workflow, not to replace the formula itself. AI versus human expertise. Now here's where it gets interesting and where a lot of people fall into traps. A skilled professional owns judgment, risk, and responsibility. The contractor owns his business. If he messes up, he's got to own up to it. AI does not. AI tries to predict what the answer should be according to its training. And that's very important. And this is what trips a lot of people up and why a lot of people just throw AI out altogether. But I promise you, you don't want to do that. You'll fall behind. A contractor giving a kitchen quote. Here's the example. The contractor is going to use experience from prior jobs, from all the experience he built up through his life, from his real mistakes and the local pricing realities. The contractor, he's knowledgeable about the pricing trends. The contractor sees hidden risk and knows when the scope is not stable. Right? So the contractor knows if he's going to need more information or not. The AI is trying to complete the conversation. The AI will give an answer even if it's not capable of giving a correct answer. According to its training. So we could actually create a system where the AI asks for more information. We can talk about that during a consultation. But that is possible. But it's not perfect, right? You always need to verify. So an AI system generating a quote. An AI, it can produce fast draft-based or patterns and supplied information, The AI may sound confident without understanding hidden conditions. The AI does not assume liability or own the customer relationship. The AI must be reviewed. It's not suitable for anything binding or involving legal consequences. So the key idea here, AI can simulate expertise. That is not the same as having expertise. So what is AI good for? Why would anyone want to use AI? AI is most useful in the messy middle between rigid software and real-world human work. So traditional software has exact rules, exact outputs. The AI translates, it can draft, it can classify, it can predict. Human judgment, based on our context, we can assess risk and then make decisions based off of everything. So an example here, turning notes into a draft estimate, summarizing customer calls, generating first pass messages, and organizing messy data for review. So one example is let's say you have a call with a customer, and you want to, let's just say your human mind, it fails you, and you're trying to remember something from that call, and maybe it's a 30-minute to an hour call, maybe it's an hour and a half call. You're going to be bringing up that recording if you have one. You're going to be skipping through it, trying to find the part, and it could take you a long time to find that part. Well, with AI, you can actually, feed the whole transcript in, and you can just say, oh, what did the customer say about, the paint color or whatever, or the cabinet type, I just couldn't remember. You don't have to explain to the AI. The AI is going to happily answer you. It's going to go through the context it has. It's going to find that answer right away. It'll save you hours, potentially. Contractor example. Moving forward, we got the quote workflow. AI does not remove uncertainty in the real world. It reduces the burden of working through it. So, let's say I build you an app, right? And in this app, it's going to help you as a contractor make a quote. You're going to select your options, your materials, quantities, constraints. It's going to pull pricing from your vendors. Let's say you probably don't use Home Depot, but we can connect your system to some vendor pricing and pull that down, right? And that's going to be a classical program that pulls that data down so that the AI can look for it, right? We're going to draft labor assumptions. The AI is going to help organize your notes, right? So you might have notes. It helps if you tell the AI what you're doing. We're going to have Paul, Randy, and Simon. You can have, the employees there. You can have their wages mapped out in classical program and data that the AI can then pull from. And, this is going to be private in this case because we're dealing with personal information. That's a whole nother issue. Same with the calls. And then you got to calculate exact totals, right? So the classical software, the AI can feed in all this data from all this context, all this dialogue, all this text, right? It's going to take this conversation and pull the numbers out that it infers. And it's going to feed that and try to into a classical program, which will give an answer that is deterministic, as we talked about before, more like a calculator, right? And after it does that, it's going to give it to the human, to you, for review. And what you're going to do, assuming you're the contractor, you're going to look at this and you're going to say, now I told it Ryan was in there, but it only added 2 employees. So you're going to talk to the AI. Now there's a feedback loop. You're going to say, AI, you forgot to put Randy in there. Or maybe Randy's going to be gone and Tony's going to be there, right? So instead of like, it's not going to be right every time, but that's okay. It's still going to save you so much work, right? So what AI helps with: collecting messy inputs, explaining options, drafting estimate language, and reducing repetitive admin work. And I'm going to be honest here, AI doesn't mess up all the time. Most of the time, especially, it's only getting better from here. What AI does not solve: material volatility. It's not going to fix the market. In fact, it seems to be messing up the market. You've seen the RAM prices. Unstable scope, hidden job site conditions, or the need for accountability, right? AI doesn't take away the need for accountability. In fact, if you get complacent, the accountability risks may go up. So, I mean, as much as it'll save you time, it's not an excuse to be lazy, okay? So, here's an example. You're going to say to your client, see your choice right now, right? And this is how AI can help a client preview design options before a final decision is made. You're with the client, you're in their kitchen. They're talking about they want countertops, and they're telling you, look, we're going to do our cabinets next summer. We'll do them ourselves. We just want to do the countertops, just save some money. We really like your countertop rates, and I really like that white quartz product you got. I'm actually not sure which one I want yet. And you can say, oh, well, I can show you what your countertops will look like, what your kitchen will look like with these new countertops. So in this example, on the left, you see the before picture. On the right, you see an AI-generated picture. This is not a real after picture, okay? And in this way, the client can say, actually, I don't really like the white. Or maybe they'll say, maybe we do want cabinets. Make it easier to upsell. You can actually show them what their kitchen will look like with cabinets too. SpnLabs will create tools for your business. You can use them internally, like I'm just talking about now, or you can put them to work on your website or app. Now, you got to be careful with this because this did not work the first try. This took a couple tries to get the right image. The first time I tried it, it used the wrong picture, and it just looked just like gibberish. It just wasn't right. The second time around, as you can see, it looks like that kitchen with new countertops, almost perfect. I mean, what can you say? It's actually pretty awesome that you can do something like this with just 2 tries in like 30 seconds. You don't need like an artist, a graphic artist, pay them, $35 an hour to spend a whole afternoon, 6 hours, however much that'll cost to make this estimate. You don't need to do that. You can't afford, maybe you can afford that, but you don't have to do that. And I'm not trying to put graphic designers out of work. They definitely, I highly suggest you use a graphic designer for what they're good at. So let's see where small businesses benefit first. Sales and estimating. You can draft proposals, organize notes, prep follow-ups, generate first-pass estimate language. Customer communication. Reply to drafts, FAQ responses, frequently asked question responses. You can review responses. You can have AI do a summary, as we talked about. Message cleanup and tone adjustment, so you can actually write a message and say, or just write like a short text, and or you can even like, sometimes I'll just say AI, like, because I'll have these conversations with AI, so it already have the context of our prior conversations, so I can just say what happened. It's like, oh, Tim said he wanted it done this way. He said he wasn't sure about his app, having this color scheme, but he wanted to try different options. And I could say that to AI, and AI can draft a follow-up, and then I can think to myself, in fact, I usually do a second pass. I usually think to myself, oh, I forgot to tell AI that he wanted this. So AI is very helpful for that. Operations, AI can help you generate summaries, SOP drafts, internal knowledge search, which is very useful, meeting notes, right, turned into action items, as we talked about, marketing support, first pass social posts. So you can tell AI, set AI on a schedule, and every morning, this could be part of your routine. The AI could draft a social post, and you can say, I like it or I don't like it. You could copy it, paste it on your social media. Now, I don't want anyone to use this stuff to be deceptive, but that's a talking point for a different day. But I'm not designing stuff so you can be deceptive. Please be honest and always review. Design preview, right? Like I was showing you with the contractor example, with the kitchen example, right? Mock-ups for remodels, signage, product package, room previews, concept boards. Training and onboarding, right? AI can explain process steps, create role-based guides. It can convert expert knowledge into repeatable material. So, I mean, you can take one of your best employees and sit them down with the AI and say, look, I need you to tell this thing what you do and how you do it. It's just amazing. They can get that written down. They can verify it. They can ask and quiz the AI. So you can, and I highly encourage you to quiz the AI, because I do it all the time. AI gets things wrong more than it gets things right. And it takes some, how do you say, iteration. It takes time and time again. You have to read it and write to it, and then all that work will turn into a system that is more knowledgeable and higher trained. And you can use that to train new employees, and of course verify it with existing employees, right? And also verify it with classical program like a quiz, right? The quiz isn't going to change. May change the order of the questions, or have we can make you a quiz that has 5 of the same question basically, but reworded and with answers in different orders, so that people can't just A B C A C B D, and then get hired on. We're not in the business of making it easy for people to cheat. But short of that, a classical quiz, classical program for the quiz, so that they can get some training with the AI. Your expert can continue being an expert on the floor, and then your new employee is trained up. They passed the quiz, and at least they did the bookwork part. And this could be something that you continuously change and adapt to make better and better and better. What AI should not be trusted to do alone. So you should use AI for speed first, not blind trust. Do not hand over final authority for customer-facing quotes. I highly discourage that. Don't expect it to give promises without your personal review, or an expert review, right? You want to avoid legal, compliance, tax, or regulated outputs without expert validation. You can use it to, one thing classical programs are not good at is messy data, as we kind of talked about. So if you have your accounting, your books, your financial stuff in a bunch of different places, you can tell AI, okay, turn this list into, or let's just say make a master list for accounting, right? And AI can take data in one shape and turn it into another shape that's going to work with a classical program. So if you have, it's like QuickBooks or whatever, some program that only takes a certain format, and you're unable to just move your bank statement, from a PDF, or something. A lot of times your bank statement will be in a PDF. So if you want to turn that into CSV or something that QuickBooks can understand, you can tell AI to, take that PDF and turn it into CSV. And again, verify it. But it could save you so much time. And honestly, it's you just go line, check the different lines, make sure they line up. Saves you hours. And now don't get complacent. See, that's the biggest risk with AI is it's getting so good nowadays. You feel like you can trust it and get complacent. That's the trap. So the safer role for AI, generate a draft, right? Like I said, something you can look line by line, compare with your bank statement, make sure that this screenshot of your PDF aligns with the actual data that it moves it to, right? Surface options, like the countertop, right? Summarize information, organize messy input, speed up the path to a review answer. AI requires verification. A calculator is only useful if you know what equation to use. AI is only useful if you know what to check. Number one, you got to start with good input. Get good in, get good out. Most of the time. Put trash in, you get trash out almost every time. So you need a clear prompt. AI can help you with prompting too. Most of my prompts, I talk to an AI with more context so that I don't have to repeat myself so much. And the AI itself, one AI will generate a prompt for another one. And of course, it's better if you verify. Anyways, number two, AI draft. The fast first pass, right? You can write something a lot quicker than we can write something. You can even, after talking to AI for a while, you can ask it to write things. And it's like, sometimes I'll say, write this in the style that I write. Sometimes it does good, sometimes it doesn't. Always verify. 3, verify, right? Check facts, math, fit, risk, and customer impact. How is this going to affect the customer if I just send it out? Is the customer going to think their kitchen's going to look like this? What if the image it generated did cabinets and a countertop, and the quote's only for countertops? That's what I mean by customer impact. So once you're happy with it, after you verify it, use it. Get it done. How SpnLabs LLC can help. Most businesses do not need AI everywhere. Okay, we're going to look at your use case, and we might find that a classical program's better. We might find that paper's better. It honestly, it depends. I'd rather not make the sale and be honest and get you something that works best for your business than I would giving you something that is just going to be problematic. You might need a few practical solutions that save time without creating new risk. So SpnLabs Services, what do? We do AI consultation for real-world use cases. We can talk to you about your business and, figure out a real-world use case for your specific situation. We do staff training, teach your staff to use AI. This is new stuff. It may seem like it's easy, but like I said, there's a lot of places, where people go wrong, and complacency awareness is definitely something that we're always going to be focusing on, I think, moving forward from here, because AI is always getting better. Custom software for specialized workflows, whether it has AI involved or not. Workflow automation and system integration. Again, a lot of automation. We've had automation in factories long before we had AI. You don't always need AI for automation. If you do and it fits, we're going to suggest that. Don't be afraid of it. Solutions for niche operational edge cases. I'll tell you what to expect. We're going to start out with a conversation about bottlenecks, workflow pain points, and where AI or custom tooling actually makes economic sense for you and your business. In closing, the businesses that benefit most from AI will not be the ones that just trust it blindly. Those are going to be the ones that fall into traps, legal trouble. There's lawyers out there getting disbarred because they're just taking something that ChatGPT generates and they're just throwing it out there in the court. And sometimes these cases they reference, they never existed. They'll have case numbers and the judge looks it up and you can't find it, and the judge is going to say, where's this case number coming from? And and that can get you in a lot of trouble. We're going to try to guide you into the right direction so that doesn't happen to you and your business. In these changing times, you got to be careful, verify the results, and apply it where it genuinely reduces friction. At SpnLabs LLC, we provide custom software, AI expertise, and full-service tooling built around the way your business actually works. Thanks. Have a good day.